Hi, today we welcome Karen to Business Spotlight. Karen Stewart is the Managing Director at 920 Recruitment. Is that correct, Karen?
That's right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me today, everyone.
Well, thanks for coming along. I guess what I'd like to do is start by asking you a bit about your background and how you got to where you are today, if you could help us out.
Absolutely. So 920 is a recruitment company. We're a boutique and we are STEM based. I started my recruitment career in 2008. Being completely honest, was a bit bored doing what I did. I ran a small plant hire company and was looking ahead at somewhere where I could really rise through the career path. Was a bit iffy about recruitment, but a few friends were in the recruitment sector and kept saying you'd be brilliant. And a company put an advert out for called the X Factor, and it was for graduates. So I wasn't a graduate, but I thought I'm not pretending I know anything. It's going in at the very bottom, so I may as well apply. And I applied and went through the process and started in recruitment in 2008. The company I worked for was very professional services driven, but because I'd come from that plant hire background, I was very naive and said, can I do plant fitters? And they said, yeah, okay. And that sort of, I just fell into the manufacturing community, STEM-based roles, and it just opened my eyes to a world I didn't know existed, and literally fell in love with the sector and the people within it, and it just grew from there. I think, you know, my passion is developing workforces towards the STEM industry, because I see there's a real opportunity, but a lack of talent. And quite quickly, so probably 2010 was the first year I did really well in recruitment. And when I analysed all my data, most people I'd placed were serving their times in the 70s and were white men. And it was just really naively, but I thought, how am I going to make money when these guys start to retire?
Yeah.
And that's how I started to fall into looking at skills gaps and initiatives and who's doing what and how are we going to tackle this in the future. And that's kind of led me to where I am today. I moved to 920 Recruitment in 2015. I just had a baby, and they offered me some shares and a chance to set up engineering and manufacturing for them. And I think what drew me to them was they were IT based. They had helped develop the skills within sort of the code clan piece and being involved in these initiatives. And I could also see with automation and technology moving forward, both our networks might need each other. So it was quite a clever wee move to go there and become that sort of STEM go-to. Did really well there and decided I wanted to do it for myself. And Gordon, the founder of 920, or one of the founders, was lovely and said, actually, I don't want you to go. And I said, well, I think we are stronger together. Yep. And he offered me the franchise model to stay, and I franchised the engineering and manufacturing business. And that was done in 2017. And I just haven't looked back. I've never stopped.
Good for you. So that's you coming into your 6th year with the franchise, yeah?
Yes.
So what's been your successes along the way? Tell us some of the things you're proud of.
Probably the things I am most proud of would be, I think, the business that I've built and the brand that I've built. You know, we're quite a small business, but actually the branding that we've created and the type of clients that we work with, you know, I think we look to be a much bigger business than we actually are. We have become such a trusted go-to and trusted partner to so many businesses who come to us not just for recruitment now. You know, they understand we know the markets really well, but not just when it comes to the people piece. And they're pulling us into their strategy meetings around engineering and talent pipelines and all different things. And I think to have worked your socks off, because I will be really honest, if you start in recruitment, you're the dirt in everybody's shoe for at least 12 months, at least. So to get to the point where you think, actually, I'm adding value to people's business and they trust what I'm saying has been amazing. On top of that, I think the teams we've built is amazing as well. So when I look at some of the people in my team's journey, you know, there was somebody that's come in 4 or 5 years ago as a receptionist and is now managing a team, making great money, is being coached by others. And, you know, this is the start of their journey as well. There's more for them to come. And I think creating a business where it's very open and it's very flexible, which doesn't work for everybody, but for the people that we hire in and fit in that culture, it's a great business for them to have that work-life balance. So lots of positives and achievements, and obviously winning the award last year was the sort of cherry on top that I wasn't expecting.
Yes, I didn't mention yet, you are an award winner. What did you win? Tell us.
So last year at the Business Women Scotland Awards, I was shortlisted for Established Business of the Year and Business Women of the Year, and was really lucky to win the Established Business award. And I think I've said this before, and I think I said it on stage, because I created it in 2017, you still think of yourself as a bit of a newbie.
Yep.
So actually, when you present your case as to why you should win it, and that you do win it, it's such a lovely feeling to think, well, we're on the right path, and we are established. We've done more than I don't think you take stock of what you've achieved. And it wasn't until we were putting the application in for the award that you actually go, wow, because last year I said, when somebody suggested that I enter, I actually said, I don't think I've done much this year.
Yep.
And they said, we've done this, you've done that, we've done that, you've been involved in this. And it wasn't until they round it all off, you go, actually, you're right, let's apply. So.
It's a good exercise to do, isn't it? And as business owners, a lot of us don't stop and say, well done, and actually put a feather in our cap. We're quick to beat ourselves up, but actually less quick to say, do you know what, I'm pretty chuffed with myself. So well done to you, that's brilliant. And so of the things you're proud of, it sounds like you've become a kind of trusted advisor status for your clients. And I'm interested in the team piece as well. So if I can go to your clients first, how do you build that trust, that level of trust that you seem to have with your clients?
So there's very few. So I've done this for 14 years, right? And I've been called probably early in my career a little Rottweiler. So I am super tenacious and super resilient. And so to get in, I will, because I know what I've got to say is credible, I will not let anybody not have the conversation at least. And then if they're not interested, that's okay.
Yeah.
From there, I make sure I deliver. And then I continue to deliver, and that I'm really honest and direct, whether it's liked or not, I think it's appreciated. Mm-hmm. And I've built my teams to work that way. So, for example, I think in recruitment, if you're in a target-driven, KPI-driven environment, you might throw stuff that's not going to work for the client just to please your boss.
Yeah.
I don't have that model, and I never have done. Even working for somebody else, I've always went, I don't think that will go down well. I don't think we should do that. Mm-hmm. So I think always doing what we say we're going to do. And if we can't do something, managing the expectations and going above and beyond it's built into who we are and what we do. Yeah. Which, as I say, anybody that I bring into recruitment, I tend to find the people that work better for me is maybe the people that haven't come from a traditional recruitment background. And you can always train them the model and the way that I like to work.
Yeah. Yes. So they've not got that baggage.
They've not got the habits of, I better just send this because I'm used to having to do it that way. And I'm noticing that there's so many amazing people in our industry and my competitors, and I've got lots of friends that work for competitors, and to say there's enough business for us all. So we all network together, and I've even recently just been to a dinner with one of my competitors and joined their table. And the clients were saying, this is lovely. And I says, well, we're not threatened by each other because there's enough for us all. Yeah. So I think as well, when you're asking about, how I've built those relationships, I've immersed myself in the manufacturing sector. So do I go to many recruitment dinners? No. Do I go to all the engineering and manufacturing dinners? Yes. Mm. I've managed to win a seat in the board for Seed, which was quite unusual, that you're a young female that's not worked directly in industry and you're not an engineer. Yeah. So diversity is best really for them, but by showing them my knowledge and how much I can facilitate and how much I can join dots and bring a fresh approach. I've been on the board a few years now, and I think I do add value. It's a business I love, and I think that the Scottish economy needs it. So I'm really passionate about driving it. So sorry, that's quite long-winded.
It's all right, but you can feel it come through. You can feel the passion coming through. And so tell us then, you're also proud of the teams that you've built. Tell us, if you were to give anyone advice on how you've built a really strong team, what would you be saying?
I think being supportive of somebody and helping them get their knowledge is really important. And I also think leading for the front and leading by example. So I will always continue to do some recruitment because I think you need to stay relevant, you need to stay knowledgeable, but also you need to show the people that you work with that you can do the job and that they can look up to you and ask for guidance and it's respected. And I think sometimes when I've seen in other businesses, when you get people that come off that billing role, they're not as engaged with the clients, they're not as engaged with the candidates, and they almost start to not understand the trends in the market because they're not knee deep in it. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't have time to fill lots and lots and lots of jobs, and I don't want to fill lots and lots and lots of jobs, but I think it's really important that I stay doing the job that my team do to be able to support them and help them understand, because, you know, this year again is going to be different challenges to last year. And if I'm still going in my recruitment hat for 2 or 3 years ago, but it's different challenges, it's really difficult to help them around that sort of practical piece of the job. And I think having that, I do have really high standards, and that's sometimes been a problem. And when I first came into management, I think I expected everybody to just be the same as me, but I think that's probably most people's things when they start their management journey, is understanding everybody's different. So playing to my team's strengths and bringing people in that are really good at things I'm not so good at. And maybe, so again, my business model, we don't sit in everybody's the exact same job description. They come in and say, look, here's roughly what's expected, and let's see how you get on. And then it's saying, right, well, you're great at that part. Do you want to focus on that? Do you want me to help you get better at this bit? Because sometimes people go, I hate that. I don't want to do that. And again, that's the mistakes that have been made with me. Sometimes I got frustrated trying to change who I was to fit. And, you know, I think you need to accept you're not going to be amazing at everything in life. And me having that ethos with my team, and don't get me wrong, if they want to come and say, actually, I want to develop into that, I know it's not my strength, we'll do it. But I just don't force them down any routes. And I always say, you know, you're the MD of your own desk, and, you know, we're such a small, agile business. I'll create the role that suits you as we grow, as long as it works for you, me, and my business. So everybody's doing something a bit different, rather than, if you build this, you get to manage a team, you then become director. You know, it's very robotic, and I think it's a load of rubbish, actually. From having done it in the past, I don't think it works. So just being agile is probably something I'm quite proud of. I think that works for a small business like us.
Good. And you mentioned challenges there. So tell us about some of the challenges you were alluding to.
So it's probably never been easy. A recruiter's job is really, really tough. And I'll always say to people at an interview, you'll know and I'll know in 3 months, and see if you don't like it, go, there's easier ways to make money, right? And then top of that, I've worked in a sector where a lot of people don't know it exists. So there's not a huge amount of people that are attracted towards it from a talent perspective. And then on top of that, what started to happen is technology and manufacturing probably started to grow here a fair bit. And things like Brexit and COVID, and people looking at localised supply chains and new technologies and inward investment coming to Scotland. And so there's a big demand for all these jobs and all these people when we just don't have enough people.
Yeah.
So it's always been challenging, but last year was probably one of my least enjoyable years, because not a single thing comes easy. And that's even for somebody like me, who is really well known. If my client phones and said, I need somebody like this, I could normally rhyme off 3 people that I could approach right away. The markets have changed, and certainly last year we found very few people even applied for a job.
Really?
And that's very few people were applying to jobs. And that, you know, maybe back in the day you would have got lots of people that weren't right for the jobs applying. But actually the volume of applications had really dropped last year. People in industry knew they were in demand. You know, you'd maybe get somebody a job, and again, this very rarely happens to my business, but a few times last year it did. You'd get somebody a really good job, they were engaged in the process, and their boss would then say, right, we'll let you work from home 3 days a week and give you another 10 grand to stay. So all your work you've done, how can you compete? You know, and then you don't get paid. So I think last year was really tight, and I think how we get through it, and this is part of what I spoke about at the event I was speaking about today, is the companies that were more agile with how they worked with us. So, okay, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Client, you've given us this role profile, right? We haven't found anybody like that, but here's what we have found, and this is why we think they're so good for you. And they were the companies that were open enough to trust us have actually got some amazing talent from us last year, and they're seeing their cultures change, because actually it's diversity around gender, it's diversity around the skills, it's diversity around the backgrounds. You know, we've really sort of pushed those boundaries to say, right, let's not think in that box.
Yeah.
And another thing that I said was, if you're stuck in a really rigid recruitment process, you're losing good people because the market's so fast to snap up the good people. If you don't move quickly, you'll lose them. So again, even some big companies, I can phone the head of manufacturing or one of the directors and they'll answer. And if they don't answer, they'll phone me back that night and I'll say, I've got you somebody great and here's why. And they go, okay, we'll meet them tomorrow. Get my PA, I'll arrange it. And then if they like them, they're like, do you want the job? But it's really worked. And, you know, as I say, the bigger companies, and there's a portal system and you've got to wait till the hiring manager gets through the compliance before they see the CV. Somebody else is taking them.
Yeah.
So, yes, super challenging last year. I think it will continue this year. But some of the trends that we're seeing, I think, because of the inflation and the global economic crisis that everybody's talking about, I think people are looking for a wee bit more security. So you might find that if they can get that where they are, that you know, they won't want to toe dip, they won't want to mess anybody around. So I think the market's going to change. Unretirement was another thing that's going to be for this year. Unretirement, so 10% less people this year that plan to take early retirement will, and again, that's economic factors. So what I've said to my clients this morning is we need to use that talent pool. If there's somebody that's unfortunate that they can't retire, and there's a skills gap, you need to use that and build that succession behind them because you've been given the gift of a wee bit longer with them and they're the skill that you need. So I suppose with every challenge, there really is an opportunity. It's just digging it out. And as I say, I think last year we were just so in the weeds to do it that you can get a wee bit lost in the weeds and not see all the fab things that you're doing and achieving. But as I say, this is a new year and I vowed that I was going to be looking forward and get out more, which I've done. So every week I've made sure I'm out doing something really good rather than just being in the weeds all the time.
Sounds good. And so just finishing up then, Karen, what would your advice be to anyone else starting out in business? What learnings that you have would you share?
Okay, so nothing will come easy. Not a single thing will come easy. And I think that resilience piece and being charming and having the thickest skin in the world to continue, if you know your worth and you have got something really valuable to offer somebody, don't give up until they've had that chat. Make sure you follow up. I see too many people, you know, people that come into recruitment, they're not starting their own business, they're going to work for me, right? But the opportunities for them are endless for earning potential. So it almost is, I'll say, you're the MD of your own desk. But too many people struggle with the lack of engagement that they'll get. But if it's about building relationships. So you need to see the longer term picture and you need to dust yourself down constantly and pick yourself up and get back on the horse and get back on the horse and get back on the horse. And do you know what? It might take a few years, but you can look back and go, my God, I'm leading the pack of horses. They're all listening to me now. So almost don't set yourself huge tasks to get to somewhere that's unachievable. Set me daily tasks and me daily achievements, and before you know it, you're looking back and you've made it halfway, or you're nearly at the end of that road that you'd planned. So I would say stick with it, be resilient, be kind, be polite, even if people aren't to you, be nice to them. And it should all come good in the end.
Great words, Karen. Great advice. Thank you. So thanks very much for joining us today on Business Spotlight. For anyone watching, Karen's details will be somewhere below me, somewhere on a link. So make sure you look up Karen to get some great advice on recruitment. Certainly, you know your stuff, that's for sure. So,
well, thank you. It was lovely to speak with you and thanks for having me.
Thank you.